The moment the millionaire opened his front door, time seemed to collapse into a single breath. Rainwater dripped from the edge of the porch, the smell of wet concrete filling the air, and standing there was a girl who looked like she had walked straight out of a forgotten photograph. Her clothes were thin, soaked, clinging to a frame that seemed too fragile for the world she was standing in. Her eyes, however, stopped him cold. They carried something painfully familiar, something he had buried deep beneath years of success, wealth, and carefully constructed indifference. The words written on the cardboard she held were simple and desperate, asking only for the chance to clean his house in exchange for a plate of food. In that instant, the millionaire did not see a beggar. He saw a memory he had tried to outrun for decades. Before the story unfolds any further, pause for a moment. If you believe that kindness can change lives, that second chances still matter in a world that often looks away, then like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel to support stories that remind us of our humanity. The girl stood silently as the door remained open longer than expected. The house behind the millionaire was vast and spotless, a symbol of a life built on ambition and discipline. Yet, despite all that order, there was an emptiness that echoed in every polished surface. The girl's presence disrupted that carefully controlled space. She looked no older than 17, her hair tangled, her shoes worn down to thin soles that barely shielded her from the cold. Hunger had carved its signature into her face, but it had not stolen her dignity. She stood straight, shoulders trembling not from fear but exhaustion. The millionaire's mind drifted backward to a time before the suits, before the private cars and guarded gates. He remembered a small house with peeling paint, a kitchen where food was often scarce, and a mother who scrubbed floors in other people's homes just to keep him fed. The resemblance was unsettling. The same hollow cheeks. The same quiet courage in the eyes. He had promised himself long ago that once he escaped poverty, he would never look back. And yet here it was, standing on his doorstep, asking for nothing more than food. The girl had been walking for hours before she reached this neighborhood. She had cleaned houses before, not officially, not regularly, just wherever someone was willing to trade leftovers for labor. Each rejection chipped away at her hope, but hunger pushed her forward. Her life had unraveled after losing the only family she had, leaving her to survive on the kindness of strangers and the strength she didn't know she possessed. Every step toward that door had been a gamble, every knock a quiet prayer. Inside, the millionaire felt something crack. He had built his empire by being decisive, efficient, and emotionally distant. Feelings were liabilities, or so he believed. But this moment demanded more than logic. It demanded humanity. He stepped aside and let her in, though neither of them understood yet how much that single gesture would change everything. As she began cleaning, her movements were careful and deliberate, as if she were afraid to disturb the air itself. She worked with gratitude rather than obligation, wiping surfaces that were already clean, organizing shelves that didn't need organizing. It was not the work that mattered to her. It was the chance to earn a meal without begging. The millionaire watched from a distance, noticing how she paused occasionally to steady herself, how her hands shook when she thought no one was looking. Memories flooded him relentlessly. His mother returning home late, hands raw from chemicals, smiling anyway. The nights he went to bed hungry but pretending he wasn't. He realized then that success had not erased those memories, it had only buried them. Seeing this girl brought them back with painful clarity. He asked himself how many times he had walked past people like her without stopping. How many doors he had closed because it was easier not to see. When the cleaning was done, he prepared food that went far beyond a simple plate. He watched as she ate slowly, savoring each bite, as if afraid the moment would vanish too quickly. Gratitude filled her eyes, but there was also something else. Shame. The kind that comes from surviving in a world that constantly reminds you that you are unwanted. Something shifted inside him then. He didn't just see a hungry girl anymore. He saw potential, resilience, and a reflection of a life that could have been his if circumstances had been slightly different. He offered her more work, not out of pity, but respect. Over time, those visits became regular. She cleaned, he paid her fairly, and slowly, trust grew between them. Weeks passed, and the house that once felt empty began to feel alive. The girl smiled more. She stood taller. She spoke about wanting to study, about dreams she had nearly given up on. The millionaire found himself listening, truly listening, for the first time in years. He helped her enroll in classes, provided stability, and most importantly, treated her like she mattered. Yet the greatest change was not hers alone. In helping her rebuild her life, he began rebuilding his own. He started volunteering, funding shelters, and opening doors instead of closing them. He understood then that wealth meant nothing if it didn't serve a purpose beyond comfort. Just before the story reaches its end, take a moment and comment the word kindness if you believe one small act can change a life forever. On a quiet evening months later, the girl stood at the same door where everything had begun. This time, she was stronger, healthier, and filled with hope. The rain was gone. So was the desperation. The millionaire realized that freezing at the sight of her that first day had been the most important moment of his life. Not because she reminded him of his past, but because she gave him back his heart. If this story touched you even a little, if it made you pause and feel something real, please like this video, share it, and leave a heartfelt comment below. Your engagement helps spread stories that remind us all that compassion still has the power to transform lives.